Hi. In the spirit of no gatekeeping, I wanted to talk about Boardy AI. I gave this little bot a call and had a very compelling conversation with him. And I believe I'm connected with him on LinkedIn because now I'm receiving emails from this group. And the concept behind this AI or this bot is just incredible. So I received an email, and the reason why I'm saying that is because I received this email from Bordy, I think it was last week. So I sign up for its, what do you call this? It's blog. Yeah, it's blog post. And I'm I had first of all no idea about this Andy Groves theory. And oops, theory thought that was something. Very compelling points here on how business leaders should leverage AI. This blog was fantastic, really long, really valuable, because what advice came out of here was we need to leverage AI to help us see around corners, to help business leaders see around corners. So if you had the ability to strategically capture inflection points and know, like you've got like a detection system that gives you a heads up as to when the next wave is coming and you can get ahead of it. And I thought that was pretty pretty cool. So the advice is to develop your response muscles rather than your awareness muscles. So instead of doing all the research so that you can start looking at what's coming and you can start raising your own alerts to see what's coming, its recommendation was to develop your response muscles instead. So don't just get good at seeing what's coming, get good at responding to what's coming. Thought that was fantastic. So you have this concept of scenario flexibility. And I heard this a lot from, I went to two ICD webinars, and both times they talked about the training that they need to develop amongst their top leaders around scenario, like training kind of things to walk them through what would we do when the highest risk scenario actually happens, like a cyber attack actually happens, like how do we actually handle it. you can't you can actually train for that by creating a structured scenario based training environment where you would practice like the emotions, responding to the emotions that come up so that you can get clear headed, reduce the adrenaline levels, and get into a creative mind space as opposed to a frantic, panicked mind space. Because you lose your creativity when you're freaking out. Very cool, where you can decouple awareness action from the actual threat. So very interesting concept here. So they're delegating the paranoia out of people and their day-to-day tactics, and so that they can just get into creation and they're not having to worry about, okay, what's going to come next and what are all the threats that we have to worry about, what's our competition doing, what's technology doing, what should we really be thinking about. That's cool. Like, what a very cool innovation enabler. I think that's so cool. So anyways, like, this is, again, that was only part one. So now how do we actually flip so that AI is doing all the paranoia monitoring for us and we can just get into creation? And then the fact that it went down the cognitive realm was pretty fantastic for me, where AI is really good at pattern recognition, anomaly detection, remembers everything. And we're here for creative synthesis, ethical judgment, empathy, and the meaning making. I don't want AI to create the meaning for me. Sometimes it's fun to play that game with it, but you're dividing the cognitive layer labor. That's pretty cool. So it's a collaborative intelligence effort. Okay, so then part three was interesting too, because now you are what it's calling a liberated leader. You have that creative mind space to really get into where this business can thrive or where our ideas can thrive. And you can actually be present. So cool. And again, for someone who's been really into mindset and mindfulness over the last, like, now I think it's 15 years, it's really great. Like, we know when you just center yourself for even 30 seconds, you can get extreme clarity. But if you had your mind space free from all of these threats, cool. Okay, very cool. So then I get this one. Today? Was it today? What day is it today? Yes. And I'm like, okay, I have to talk about this because this was also very compelling in the last couple of, ever since AI entered the scene and it's become democratized, and I got my hands on Lovable and played around with Lovable cursor and Replit. I love Lovable. Just shout out to my Lovable plus Super Base collab there. I love it. I've been always thinking about what is the MVP. And now I'm like, wait, I don't even know if I need an MVP. I just want to know if my idea is worth exploring. So I went to a session, I think it was Tuesday, and it talked about a minimal viable test. So I thought, okay, so let's not get to MVP. Let's just create a prototype. Salesforce does a great job of that too, like a functional minimum product or functionality or capability that can validate whether or not this product's going to work. So in this case, Boardy is suggesting it should be an MLP, and it's the MLP. It is, where does he say? What does it stand for? Oh, that's cute. Minimal Lovable Product. So I was building one day and I was like, okay, can I have an AI with just build it so that we could just see that it works? Or do I actually need to distribute that GPT chatbot to to truly prove that it worked? So, because like part of my gap was I don't know how to actually surface this to the external people, but I finally figured it out. But I heard no, like actually distributing it is table stakes. So you have to determine what is table stakes for your feature or capability or use case, and then from there build that out. So a minimum adaptive product, I like that concept too, because it does have to grow and adapt. But again, like you need to really get honest about what is that minimum amount, because you cannot leave features and capabilities that are stable table stakes. You can't leave them out of your whatever you call it, your initial test. Because for a customer or an end user to actually see if this feature is going to solve their business problem, you have to really deeply understand what is the job to be done. So, what are they really trying to do? So, I can't just build an AI that works like internally in a proof of concept. Yes, okay, yes, it worked, but I need to actually see how people interact with it. That's table stakes for me. So, like the job to be done isn't so that internal users can prove that Agent Force works for booking appointments. No, the actual problem we're trying to solve is that customers can book appointments using a chat widget. And that's the job to be done. Customers want to book appointments. They can't book appointments in the Canvas builder. You know what I mean? So get really clear on what the job to be done is, follow and build your test to fulfill that problem. And then you can test to see whether or not it's fulfilling, like how much of that those jobs to be done in the value chain or the consumption chain, all of the steps and then all the emotions, and you can work through the whole, it's not necessarily the customer journey map, but the value chain. Yeah, very, very cool. The fact that I can build a product on my own just to validate that this product is going to solve people's problems out in the market. I found that so compelling. But again, it's got to be built in a way that you can measure it and learn from it and iterate. So to me, I'd like the last piece would be like, how do we scale from each loop? This build, measure, learn, this loop is so critical that I'm learning with my product. I have to, like, during the learn phase, I find that to be the funnest part because I can actually engage with people to say, how did you like it? Did it actually solve the problem that you were looking to solve? And what are the table stakes that are missing from this? And then I can grow it and evolve it from there. This is it, right? Like you are continuously talking to people, getting their feedback. This is what truly makes you customer obsessed. If you're not doing this, you're not truly building something that truly solves the problem. You're ultimately doing it like it's a self-fulfilling prophecy kind of thing. Like you're doing it for yourself. And like, I do love building. Well, I have a great idea. I want to satisfy that itch and build it just to see if I can actually do it. That's one thing. But if you're truly actually looking to build a product that satisfies a customer need that you intend to add value to that customer life and ultimately generate revenue off of it, you have to take this approach. So, this idea of this, you ask people to give feedback, collect all their feedbacks, put it into your idea generator, and then you get your product updates and you're continuously iterating in a way that you are iterating to satisfy what the greatest needs are. That's going to add the most value to your customer base. So cool. This framework is absolutely articulating what I've been tinkering with over the last, probably more obsessively in the last 6 months. But I've been playing with this concept over the last maybe 5 years. So the moment, like at Salesforce, we started to really think about how are we collecting that customer feedback. So we wanted to go on the job site and see how people were actually interacting with the product. Tough to do at scale. That was the one challenge that I had with that program. But I'm, yeah, yeah, very cool. And then I only learned about the concept of the moat recently, like what is truly defensible. And ultimately, this means like, how is your product going to stay? Like, how are you ensuring that? Yeah, hold on one second. Do they have a better definition of it? Oh, they don't define it. But it was a new concept for me. So I would love to dig into somebody with somebody who really understands building a moat. But it does sound like proprietary data loops. That was also something that I heard from VCs is that the data that you're collecting up here, right? You have to curate your own customer data. If you don't curate your own data and you're just getting it from AI, right? I guess you could curate data from AI, have it do all that research for you, but that's not genuine. I'm sure that there's a place for that. But if you're building a product, you want it to be built based off of the feedback you're actually getting from your user base. So that's ultimately what I took away from this piece. And then the learning velocity, that's, yeah, this is what differentiates you from the rest. So, such a good way of defining what differentiates an organization and what gives it that staying power. These are the four concepts. So cool. Customer intimacy at scale, right? Like I can't fly to every single customer site just to see them, but there might be a way where I could do that, right? Like just spend one whole year doing this like international roadshow, visit all of your customers, like capture all of the insights. I think it's not necessarily like the traveling part, it's the how do you curate your insights rapidly and then in a structured way so that it can be like it's that knowledge gathering and the synthesization, is that a word? But basically synthesizing all of that data in a structured manner so that we can get really solid learnings from it. Found that so fascinating. That's the most fascinating work I ever did at Salesforce. Like, super fascinating. And to keep shipping, again, another thing that Salesforce does really well is the constant iteration and improvement of the product. It is impossible to stay on top of as a product expert, like, or platform expert. Like, it is truly impossible. However, that's the moat, right? Like, you can't, other companies can't keep up because there's so much learning that's happening and growing that's happening and they're like continuously iterating. But see the vision here? Like I love like values and vision are at like always at the forefront. And yeah, pretty cool. But yeah, like this one, this bottom line here, in its spirit, learning efficiently, putting real products in front of users. Like, I think it's not like MVP is not dead. It's more of like we need to constantly, continuously iterate that fulfills a specific problem and just focus on one little problem because there's like many problems, but if we just focus on solving problem by problem, it's like a modular approach where you're like bolting on additional capabilities to your product, and then that's how you have a more complete and robust product because your customers are helping you build your product with you. It is for the last 2 weeks I've had really great content from this. So I highly recommend signing up for this. Lot of really good learning, just like articulating what I've been thinking. And I'm sure a lot of us have been thinking, I just didn't know how to say it. But this has done such a great job. So in the last 2 weeks, fantastic stuff. All right. Until next time.